Good afternoon, and welcome to this executive lunch sponsored by Celonis. My name is Crawford Del Prete, and I'm the president of IDC, and I'm here to talk to you today about technology initiatives for 2021 and beyond in the context of COVID. We've seen some significant changes over the last 9 months, and I'd really like to take you through the impact of some of those changes, show you some data, and then make some predictions into how the world has changed as a result of this global pandemic. So I think a lot of you saw this framework earlier today, which is the 5 stages of recovery, moving across each of those stages from crisis to economic slowdown to recession to a return to growth to the next new normal. But what I'd like to talk about is how each of these stages is impacted in terms of business continuity, the short-term effects of COVID-19, and the long-term effects. So what we saw in that COVID crisis period was a move toward supporting your remote workforce and a move toward really focusing on scaling your infrastructure to be as resilient as possible and to pivot your message to align with what your customers needed. And then as we moved into the economic slowdown and the cost optimization phase, we've seen this pivot and redesign of how we're working. And we're seeing this acceleration of core technologies, an acceleration of cloud, an acceleration of client devices. We've seen customer experiences start to become redefined, and we've seen that security is no longer just perimeter-based, but now we're trying to bake security in and really address challenges with potentially the most insecure part of our strategy, which is the social engineering and how people are attacked with things like phishing in a remote access world. Longer term, what we expect to see is this acceleration toward autonomy. We expect to see more autonomous operations. We expect to see a redesign of network architectures to support different work models. And we see that the application of AI will take a lot of the more mundane tasks away from the workforce. We will see an acceleration of innovation in industry, and we'll also see a rethinking of applications with the emergence of what I'll talk about in a moment, these task apps or micro apps built on top of applications. So, our survey data suggests that CIOs have to adapt quickly. And we've seen that there are lots of gaps in the marketplace. So in industry like groceries, we've seen that physical labor has to be automated. You can't just continue to throw bodies at the problem. We've seen this massive move. We sent everybody home. We sent workers, office workers, home to work. We sent outside direct sales force home to work. Everyone became an inside salesperson. And we've seen that models have to adopt, and a lot of them are hard to adopt. But by and large, we saw that 42% of our respondents, of our CIO respondents, know that they will invest in technology to close the gap in their digital transformation. And I hope this resonates with you as you think about your journey with digital transformation. So what are the long-term lasting effects? That is the bigger question here. And what I'd like to do in this presentation is take you through what we believe are some of the lasting effects of COVID-19 and understand of all these forces that we've seen over the last few months, what are those things that really may change the technology world going forward? So those boil down into 3 technology initiatives for 2021 and beyond. And the first is, how do you level the playing field and create digital parity across your workforce? How do you design for social awareness? We have a whole new socially distanced world. What are some of those trends that will likely carry forward? And then, as I indicated earlier, we believe companies are going to want to accelerate automation. So how do you accelerate automation initiatives across your organization for lasting change? So let me show you some data. We are first, we believe that creating digital parity in your organization is super, super important. And when it came to working from home pre-COVID, we only had on average about 14% of organizations' workforce were primarily work from home pre-COVID. Today, that has jumped to 45%, which is what you see in that middle bar. But I think that, it's safe to say that, post a vaccine, we will definitely move back toward where we were. So we believe that by 2023, 60% of the global 2000 will provide a technical parity to the workforce. So the important trend here is that we need to have flexibility in our workforce. We need to have a workforce that can work from home, even if they're not working from home. You can't have work from home workers with a separate set of norms and rules to those that are working in the office. We have to come together. So even though you're going to see that dark blue line come back down post-vaccine, which, by the way, a global post-vaccine world may not exist until after mid-2021, you're still going to have net that percent working from home nearly double what it is today, from about 14% to just under 25%. So that your workforce is going to be increasingly hybrid going forward. And that hybrid workforce will have implications across your entire landscape of technology. To effectively manage remote workers, we expect to see $2 billion spent on desktop and workspace as a service by 2022. So we'll see, significant investment. And we'll see that 60% of organizations will seek close to 14% of their, 60% of organizations will seek to close their 14% shortage of professional developers. So they need new talent to win as a result of this hybrid workforce. We will see that by 2021, 40% of organizations will leverage employer productivity software to monitor and improve digital workflows in their work from home employees. So this gets back to this hybrid workforce means that you can't have one set of the workforce with the best services and then the work from home employees just sort of enough to get by. We have to come together. We also believe that we'll see significant investment in a 30% boost in productivity to really think about your branch operations as all your employees working from home, and this significant 30% productivity gain with a branch from one architecture. So for those in the organization that have gotten comfortable with the work from home and believe that they can be productive and, quite frankly, have earned the right to work from home in terms of their seniority and the years and years of performance that they've delivered, they will likely want to work from home, and they're going to need the tools to do that going forward. So that's kind of creating this digital parity in your workforce. The next is designing social awareness. And how do we think about using technology to create social awareness as a competitive dynamic? We believe that, according to the survey that we put in the field, 41% of organizations have converted at least one of their business processes to support a contactless experience. So you can see on the right-hand side which business processes have been converted, and this converted specifically to a contactless environment. And so that's getting product info, customer service, product engagement, and even delivering products. So that would be like curbside pickup or product delivery. And I think you can see, it's interesting to see how many organizations are moving down this path. We believe that you're going to continue to see more and more organizations support ways to not necessarily have contact. Do we really believe that in the fast casual dining experience, that being able to walk up to a table and scan a three-dimensional barcode to get the menu on your smartphone, this is how many customers are going to want to live in the future. And we think that those kinds of contactless experiences will continue. So our recommendation to you is you take a fresh look at your business processes and try to figure out which ones can you delight your customers in new ways by providing that contactless experience, whether that's through ordering, through getting customer information, getting product or service information, or even picking up the product. And so contactless becomes that new design point. And we believe that by 2021, 40% of development activities will support, it will reprioritize design and user interface to support a contactless experience. I promise you, this is going to happen in retail. This is going to happen in automobiles. This is going to happen in ride sharing. You'll be using your voice. You'll be using apps. You'll be learning and supporting by taking videos and by gaining instruction through videos. Videos can provide a way to configure products remotely, to provide customer support in new ways. So it'll be more than just payments. It'll be more of a full experience around the product. And I encourage you to think, how can I take the wonders of the contactless crisis that we've had today and turn it into delightful customer experiences in the future? So the next area I'd like to talk about is accelerating your automation initiatives. And again, this is really, we don't have the luxury of deploying more and more and more people to these problems. We have to be able to deploy technology in order to scale and in order to deliver profitable services going forward. And that means automating IT, it means automating labor, and it means automating business processes. So we believe for IT automation, especially especially in the IT organization, we believe that by 2023, 75% of Global 2000 organizations will adopt automated IT practices to transform their IT workforce, to move, and again, your IT department, in a lot of ways, they want this. They want to move from the mundane to the more sophisticated IT tasks. We also believe that in the larger labor markets, in areas like customer service, finance, we've seen strong use cases for RPA, robotics process automation. And we believe that by 2022, 45% of repetitive tasks will be automated or augmented using digital coworkers. So how do I use a digital voice assistant, a digital coworker to help me with the more mundane tasks so I can work on the more sophisticated things? And we'll continue to see a focus on autonomous operations, especially in those industrial sectors where it's not necessarily safe or healthy for a person to be. And we believe by 2022, to support these autonomous operations, organizations will increase their investments in digital engineering, data governance, and operations by 40%. And this is really to improve safety and to take cost out of the equation. So expect that one of the legacies of COVID is an acceleration to automation and automating labor. So we also know that COVID-19 introduced many new of these TaskApps. And I talked about them earlier, and these are organizations who added apps on top of an application platform. And so in some ways, these are added to HR platforms, they're added to payments platforms, they're added to social platforms. You can see here things like COVID incident management, symptom tracking, contact tracing. These are all added to other applications as small little applications that can be added to your HR app. Workplace safety, there's some interesting apps that will automatically calculate what your building capacity is and how many people have registered to come into the building, and then cross-check that with their physical proximity. As well, we've seen added to retail apps, curbside pickup applications. So these are really important because it doesn't require a whole new set of foundational enterprise apps. These are small apps that can be added to your existing HR apps or other parts of your core application portfolio in a very, very quick way, and expect a tremendous amount of it. We expect a tremendous amount of innovation in this space over the next 12 months. So during the pandemic, we saw the number of small apps being stood up to address COVID-19. On average, we saw applications stand up 3.7, almost 4 of these task apps, and we expect that will only accelerate going forward. And we think that automation initiatives will accelerate with these task apps. So what will you see? You'll see that this will be driven by a need to automate those processes with a new wave of applications. And just to put a number on it, we believe that, as I indicated, these will be built on top of enterprise apps. About 10 billion in enterprise spending by 2024. So we'll see that, again, customers, if they're taking advantage of this moment in digital transformation, they'll look at their business processes, they'll look at how their employees are working, and they'll look at how their customers are working, and they'll figure out, how can I take friction out of that system with a task app? How can I do it within my finance department? How can I do it within my customer experience? How can I do it within my customer service organization? And again, we've seen it with COVID, with things like contact tracing, with things like office capacity. We'll see it in other areas of the enterprise as well. So in closing, as you rework your digital roadmaps, I want to remind you that the digital future is rapidly approaching. This started, I should say, it started with digital transformation, and it ramped up with COVID-19. And COVID-19 has just underscored how critical it is to be digital. And we are now estimating that 65% of the global GDP will be digitized by 2022. So I challenge you to be a part of that 65%, and hopefully to be leading that 65% by 2022, so that your organization can not only survive, but it can thrive as we endure COVID-19 and we come out the other side toward this new era of growth. So I hope you enjoy this lunch. I hope you've enjoyed our sessions today, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the event and a healthy remainder of 2020 and into 2021. Thank you for your attention.